I boarded a plane, wedged myself into an economy seat and jetted all the way over here to Snowshoe, West Virginia, so I could bring you all the inside information before the penultimate round of the Downhill Mountain Bike World Cup. And can you tell I wrote this intro on the plane? Now, I don't mind a bit of discomfort, as I do really enjoy visiting the USA, and the track's kind of cool, I guess, and I do get paid to come here, and despite being 6'7", I can fit into some really tight spaces without too much trouble. Pretty flexible. Almost touched my toes there. Today we're going to talk track developments, rider updates, and then break down a tricky section of the track to compare the fastest lines and riders to give you some wonderful context. My name is Ben Cathro, this is Pinkbike, and it's time to get inside the, what are we calling those stubby little glow stick looking things now? Poles? Markers? Shafts? Inside the shafts? Most liked name suggestion in the comments gets in the script for the last episode of the year. The track here in Snowshoe is a wild one with plentiful smooth rocks and clay dirt that makes things extra super duper turbo spicy if it rains, which it often does, and did. The gradient of the trail is mostly mellow, which means line precision, well-timed braking points, and no brake bravery through those lower rock gardens will pay dividends. It is very easy to make a mistake though, which can cost a lot of time on the flatter sections of track. Bikes also take a beating in the famous rock gardens here, with some racers famously ruining a run on those sharp rocks. A solid wheel with a decent tyre insert goes a long way, but some riders manage to thread the needle without. It wouldn't surprise me to see a few flat tyres come Saturday. This year we have a few small deviations and fresh features for riders to scratch their heads over. Sadly, the moto rhythm section is gone, and instead we have some wide flat turns that should provide some action for the spectators. A lot of the dirt from the fresh muddy sections from last year is now gone, and the rocks are a lot more exposed. I can't tell if this is going to make them harder to ride or easier, but we'll find out soon enough. So, what's happened with the riders since we last traded stories in Léger? Well, not that much actually. Mercifully, there weren't too many mishaps on the French slopes in Léger. Iris van Leuven looked like she might be out for the rest of the season due to a nasty crash. But after being airlifted to hospital, she was given the all clear and will race here in Snowshoe. Someone we've not talked about much this year, and I was wondering if she'd maybe make the return this week, is Jess Blewett. The regular podium contender is still out from a bad ankle injury she picked up at Hardline. She's recently updated everyone that we won't see her racing World Cups till next season. Several riders on the return at this round. First rider on my list is Luke Meyer-Smith, who is back after dislocating his shoulder in Ludenville. He is a solid dude, and hopefully he'll be stable and not hold him back. Lockie Stevens McNabb, the first year elite on the Union team, is back racing this week after breaking his ankle before Val di Sole earlier in the year. It's still giving him some pain, but he is excited to get back at it. Fan favourite Adam Brayan has managed to get himself an entry after a sneaky rule change by the UCI left him without the points required to enter the races. He applied for one of the limited national jerseys each country award to racers without points. He was successful and will now hope to get into the super finals so he can gain points for next season. Nico Mullally looks to be back up to speed after breaking his pelvis earlier in the season. It was a huge injury, so it's great to see him back racing in his home country among all the other great things he's doing. I wouldn't be surprised to see him going into the final on this track, which is right up his street. Something I'm excited for and have been waiting to see is Richie Rude racing a Downhill World Cup for the first time in 10 years. He was the next big downhill racer after winning Junior Worlds back in 2013, when his current sponsor Yeti pulled their downhill program and pivoted into enduro. Richie followed, and we were left wondering what he could have done in elite downhill. Now, he'll definitely be out of practice, but it'll be sick to see him racing aboard his prototype Yeti downhill bike. That's plenty of rider updates. Let's swing over to Studio Ben for the inside scoop on the section of track that we definitely decided to feature before recording this script. Thanks, Outside Ben. So we are going to look at the middle rocky section of the track where the riders drop out into the open, and we are on board with Amy Kenyon from Pinkbike Racing. She's going to mission her way along this flat traverse, which is super slippy. There's a lot of moisture on the rocks and it's extremely difficult to hold your line. So the main line through this section is you run the gauntlet of the pink rocks and head down into there and out of the woods. And there are a few different ways to do this. So we'll get a little bit more in depth once we get further into the track. But for right now, there's also a line off of this main gully that then heads down the middle and into that next section. But there's also a line here heading over these rocks and into the next bit. And there's another line going super inside and into the next section. And there's a few different options here, and the way riders decide which one they want to do is they need to know which set of trees they're going to go between before they drop out into the open. If they want to go through the trees to the left, they're going to take a wider entrance. If they want to go through the trees towards the right, they're going to take a more inside entrance. And honestly, they're all extremely slippy and very difficult to negotiate. There's lots of rocks, they're moving around. Half of them are steady, half of them rock side to side as you ride over them. It's really tricky. Let's go a little further into this rock garden. So Amy's going to head right into the middle of this rock garden, and we'll stop it just here and let's take a closer look. So you can see all the rocks in here. They're all super dark colored because they've got moisture on them and they've got a little bit of that clay dirt on them, and they're all, every single one of them is convex, and your wheels just want to slip off of them, which makes it really, really challenging to do well. So here are the main options. So the main line that most people do is going around here, round those two trees, and then off that rock drop in the distance. So the other main line that a lot of people are doing are going through here and then straight through these two trees and into that next rock drop. It's much more direct, but it makes the corner tighter as you go over the drop. You can see here though, Amy's coming from the wide line and she's heading off in this direction. Let's see where she's going. So Amy heads right of all the main lines, goes round the trees and then filters back in to that high line off the drop and down into the next section. It's a very, very challenging section, and we need to find out who did it fastest. And I hear a rumour that Ghosty Ben has made it to America. So we've got the loosest man in downhill, Cade Edwards, who unfortunately didn't race because he knocked his head. He went inside to round the drop and came out of it with some hellish exit speed. And we're going to pitch him against the other loosest man in the hill, Phil Atwell, who goes all the way around and off the edge of the drop. Super clean, but maybe not as fast in the exit. Let's find out. So they come into the section. Cade turns in. He's heading for that higher line. You can see Phil is accelerating in front because he didn't have to take as tight a turn. Phil is coming up to the drop as Cade is heading round the trees. You can see Phil is just in front. He plops off the drop. Cade is cornering. He's accelerating. He's going to be going fast now. And look at him. Overtaking Phil in midair. Look how far he jumps off of that. He lands way down on the grass. He is out in front. He's going to get to the finish line and he takes it. Loosest, fastest loose man. And Cade takes it as I look on approvingly for that 0.15 up. And now we've got Christopher Crispy Grice, and he goes middle to off the drop and then gaps it up onto the bank with a little swerve on the exit. And we're going to go against Dylan Maples, the privateer who's been picked up by Commensal Muckoff. He goes all the way around the outside, clean off the drop and down to the finish line. So let's see who's going to take it. Is it Rice Krispie Cake or is it Dylan, not a privateer anymore, Maples? And look at Grice, he's way out in front. He must have just come in with so much entrance speed as Dartfish says no, yes. And Grice is so far out in front, the program is barely dealing with it. Look at him accelerating around this turn. Is Dylan, he's back, he's catching him, okay, there he is, he's back. And Grice gets to the finish line. Here comes Dylan, he's spawned back in, but he's 0.81 back. And now we've got Baptiste Pierre on. He is riding in the place of his brother Amory because we were waiting for his neck to get better, and he gets that super clean. We'll compare that with, oh my God, it's Mr. C playing himself. Oh my God, Asa Vermette. Holy shit, did you see that? Okay, right, let's compare the two. So Asa, who is not even old enough to race, he's sweeping, he's going round the outside at a ferocious pace. And he's going to come up to the drop and he's going to do some silly things. But Baptiste is in front, actually. Baptiste was faster to the drop as Asa gets patted in the bum by his back wheel. He caves into the bars. He gets his balls on the top tube and somehow holds on to it. And he doesn't even slow down as he comes to the finish line. Baptiste is going to be sad. 0.45 to the course sweeper. Let's go. What?
Just wait.
That was amazing. Wow, that certainly looks like a difficult and challenging section of track. Thank you for so eloquently describing it, Studio Ben. Well, that's it from myself and Pinkbike inside the luminous shafts. I hope you enjoyed. Let us know if you did with a comment under the like button, and stay tuned for Story of the Race, which we'll try and sneak out before we truck to Mont Saint Anne. See you then.